Y'all, I have Melissa Nunnally with me today, and I'm so pumped because you're going to love her. I got to meet her a few years ago when she got on the show Vindication. So we're both on that show. She's an amazing human. Like, you're just going to love getting to learn her story. So, Melissa, kick us off with where you live, and then what do you do outside of the industry first?
Outside of the industry.
Yeah,
Oh,
like if you do
okay.
anything
Well,
else.
first, I live in Orange County, California. So that's outside of LA for those of you who aren't familiar with the area. And that's like 15 minutes from Disneyland. So that's kind of our close spot that everybody knows. So I'm close enough to LA, but far enough removed where I'm not in the hustle and bustle of all the city. And what do I do outside the industry?
Hmm.
I work for a family business doing some office management work, and I also have a 9-year-old daughter, so I do a lot of mommy fun things, and I've been married for 20 years, so we do a lot of family things. My husband is a counselor at a Christian high school, so we do a lot of things with the high schoolers as well.
Oh, I love that. Cool. Okay, so what all do you do inside of the film industry? Because I know you do acting and probably some other things.
So I've been professionally acting since 2020. And then I also have a producing background, but that's through, I was also a newscaster. I've been on camera since 2002. And then I was a news anchor, reporter, and producer for many years and a TV host. So I've been on and off camera for since 2002, but professionally acting since 2020.
Nice. Okay, cool. So what would you say got you to officially start pursuing acting in 2020?
So, with my news background and TV hosting background, I enjoyed doing that. And then I had made some connections. I went to Biola University and as a broadcast journalism degree, but I made a lot of friends with those in the film department. And so the head of the film department used to call me for random projects that he would have when he needed a reporter for one of his projects on his side company. So he had me come in to do a reporter role for the LA County Sheriff training video that they were doing. And I fell in love with it. I was like, I want to act like a reporter in these projects. And so that's kind of how I started because of my news TV hosting background. I said, maybe I can become that newscaster for TV film projects because a lot of times TV and film wants to have somebody who actually has experience in those areas, in the newscasting area, not just hire an actor who can try to be a news anchor. And so that's what got me interested in it at first. And then I started doing a lot of research just online, looked at Christian casting and different sites, started doing the monologue challenges with Laura May. I started looking at the different actors and getting to know them. I did some research on Christian films and who was casting them. And I actually had an Actors Access account back in like 2006 because I knew somebody who worked for Actors Access. So I was looking for hosting roles and she had told me about it. And then, so I was on there and then, so it just kind of shifted. It was like this, well, I'm going to play the newscasting roles. And then I started being on Actors Access more. And then I saw different things pop up that I'd submit for that were beyond the newscasting. And I did a little background work in San Diego for a Christian project. And I said, I love this. I love this. I love being on set. And I want to do more than just walk around in the background, like stapling papers. And I literally driving back from San Diego, which is a 2-hour drive from where I live, I pulled over and I booked an acting class. Like, I want to learn how to do this professionally. And there's this Amy Reese casting or Amy Reese uh, classes, and she was a casting director for a lot of the Hallmark movies.
Yeah.
And so I booked with her and I took my first class and I was off and running. And that was 2019, so right before 2020. So I took my first acting class with her. And um, then when I was continually researching the Christian actors and agents and that type of thing. And then 2020 happened and I entered into the Quarantine Film Festival. I made something. And then I had my dream agent contact me and started doing it professionally.
Wow. Okay, there's a lot of things I love. Okay, so one of the things you
Get all
said
that?
was, yeah. So one thing you said, you drove 2 hours to go be a background artist in like a thing.
Yeah, so it was something I'd seen on Actors Access, and I actually got a couple callbacks for a bigger role, and then I didn't get that. So then they said, "Hey, we need people in the background if you want to come just be on set." And I said, "Yes, I do. I would love to check it out."
Yeah.
So
That's so good because I there a lot of times I think we want it easy, like, oh, it's gonna take too long and then I'm gonna have a long day, a 12-hour day, and then I'm gonna have to drive back. But there are things that you do in the beginning to make sure that you can get your feet wet and make sure that you like this thing. And then the other thing you did was go into classes because what a lot of actors do is they keep trying to book the gigs. What's the gig? How can I get on set again and again and again without doing the training? So how did you find you were driving, you pulled over and you booked it? How did you find this
I
lady?
yeah, I had been familiar with her before. So I do have a past of acting. I grew up doing acting as a child in church plays and school plays. I loved it since I was 5 years old. I did the salty plays at church. Absolutely loved it. But then in high school decided I was going to pursue newscasting. So in my brain, I kind of said, well, acting might be a little bit complicated. Maybe I could be a journalist and act like a newscaster every single day. So then when I pursued newscasting in college and then got picked up at an NBC affiliate right out of college, so I was getting all that practical training with that. But how I found, so I had the knowledge about acting, but I knew I needed a professional class that I haven't had that for so many years. So I knew I needed something. And I had different friends that were already in the industry. So I asked them, like, who do you think would be a good fit
Mhm.
for a teacher with where I am right now and the interest that I had with faith-based, family-friendly, Hallmark style, clean films? And this is somebody that they had suggested.
Okay, cool. So the you said that your dream agent reached out to you. How did that happen? Because a lot of times actors are like, how do I find an agent? Who do I sign with? How can I get in front of them? They're closed. Like, how did that work for you?
So my story is very much of God was working behind the scenes when I didn't even know it. So I had said how I was looking at the Christian casting community. There was a director, Scott Brannon, out in Florida, who had a casting call for a TV host for one of his projects. So I submitted for that. It was one of those things where he needed somebody to actually pay their way to get there, and I wasn't in that place to do that. And I said, keep me in mind for future projects. We had a little dialogue. Unbeknownst to me, he had recommended me to Gene of Treasure Coast Talent as an actor. And I was like, I had no clue. So that was months prior. And then I did know who Jean was, and I saw that she was a judge for the Quarantine Film Festival in March 2020. And so I made a short film, which I'm not a filmmaker, and I actually encouraged a lot of my friends who are filmmakers to enter it because I'm like, this sounds fun. And what else are you doing during quarantine?
Yeah.
And I felt like God was like, you do something. When my husband said, you do something. And so I said, okay, what can I do to make a short film because I wanted to get in front of Jean of Treasure
Yeah.
Coast Talent because she was a judge. So with my news background, I just made a short little film and I all along said to my family, like, if this is a hindrance to us, if this is stressful, I don't want it to be stressful. I want it to be fun. If
Yeah.
at any point of me making this little film feels stressful, I'm going to stop. And it wasn't. It went really smoothly and it came together. And then I ended up getting second place for a couple different categories. And then Jean contacted me directly right after that.
Amazing. Okay, cool. So while we're on the topic of agents, and really I should include this question in all of the other interviews. So Jean no longer is an agent, which is so sad for all of us that were signed with her. But what have you done now? Like how have you transitioned from having her as an agent?
So when Jean retired, just based on some different things in my personal life, I said, I'm going to step back a little bit. I'm going to try to do some things creatively um, on my own and not actively pursue the industry right now. So I have stepped back. But what's interesting, I said, I'm gonna step back completely. And then different people started emailing me, hey, we're filming this short film, a sequel to something I had done before. Can you come film? Like, okay, sure, I'll go do that. Or hey, we have a table read. I'd love you to read for this character. Okay, I'll do that. So it's people have been, because of my networking in the past, people have been contacting me. So God hasn't totally closed the door. Um, but it's nice because it's a step back. It feels a little more peaceful. I'm not actively pursuing it. I'm not striving for anything. And as the Lord brings it to me, I can say yes or no.
Mhm.
And I still get to be creative in the process. So I actually developed a new Instagram channel, um, Melissa's Movie Minute. So I like sharing film facts. I like when I watch films, I love doing research on the film and finding out information about it that sometimes people don't realize that was happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I just launched a little Instagram channel on sharing some of those film facts. So that's something that I can do to still stay creative
Yeah.
and still do my research on people acting and yet not so I don't have an agent. All that to say, I don't have an agent right now, and I'm
Yeah.
kind of in a waiting zone for that. I'm not actively pursuing getting a new one. I'm just kind of seeing where the Lord leads.
Okay. And then you said networking like that had helped with the opportunities that you're getting now, even though you're not represented. What are some things you do to network after a shoot or at an event, or what do you like to do?
Um, I think just the different people that I've come in contact over the years, whether it's been, at a film festival, or working on a project, and then just staying connected with all the different people from that project, following them on Instagram. And then if somebody needs my skill set, then they're reaching out. So just staying networked like that.
Yeah, awesome. What's been one of the big struggles that you've had as an actor up to this point?
Time. I have so
Mhm.
many ideas and so many things that I want to do.
Yeah.
Time, especially as being a mom. So my priority is first and foremost my family, my daughter, and her schedule. So I did get her an entertainment work permit, and she's great on camera. So I thought, well, maybe it'd be easier if she and I could go to a project together, whether it's a commercial or something. So that's been the struggle. So I'm going, okay, Lord, if you want to open the door for her, then I can join her and we can do these mother-daughter roles. But she's my priority. So it's a couple things like a director recently reached out to me and said, can you film out of state for 3 weeks? And I said, there's no way. I cannot do 3 weeks and be away from my family for 3 weeks. I think my max is a week, and that's still really hard to try to make that work. So time is definitely a factor right now.
Yeah. For sure. So you mentioned Christian casting is something that you used in Actors Access. What are some other tools, communities, whatevers that you have used to help you?
Oh gosh, there's so many. So I love Beverly Holloway's Let's Talk Tuesday. I love connecting with casting directors and hearing from them. Bella Hibbs, Good Faith Casting. I've listened to her for years. Podcasts, I enjoy just being encouraged by those. The Faith and Family Filmmakers podcast is one that I really enjoy. Or all of your sessions that you've done with interviewing different actors. I get encouraged by that. IMDb Pro is very important. I use that from day one to really research who's working on a project and the casting director, the director to see what they've done.
Mhm.
So things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, and being self-tape ready. I always want to encourage people be self-tape ready, like have your equipment in place because the last thing you want is to be stressed when you do get an audition to think, I don't have the right lighting or I don't have the right tripod or how am I going to set up 10 books to put my laptop or whatever. It's like you just want to walk into that space and have it be ready. So
Yes.
have the tools that you need to make it so that you can create.
hmm That's good. So what does your self-tape area look like? What all do you have set up and where?
I have a guest room, so I always have a backdrop set up, and then I just move my lights and tripod when I have guests. It goes into the closet, and otherwise they get to see my blue screen in the background.
Smart.
But it's just always I have a separate room, so that's nice.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Okay, so you're in the Powerhouse Sisterhood Suite. What made you join that?
Well, okay. For all of you watching, do you know the skill set that Venus Monique has? Do you know what an incredible actress she is? I admire your acting so much and the person that you are, the care that you have for other people, the love of God and love of others. And I've watched you for years, and it's been so beautiful to see what you've created. I saw the sisterhood that you developed years ago as the mentorship community, and also training kids in practical steps of everyday life things that you were doing.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to be a part of what you were creating because I really enjoy feeding life, and especially into the next generation, and encouraging them to walk in their calling. But then when you have this community of other Christian actresses, it's just something that obviously community is important to inspire and also to critique one another and encourage one another in our work so that we work with excellence.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to be a part of it. And also, I just love Casey Morlett, and Venus is Casey is part of the sisterhood, and Venus connected us. And so I saw very early on how the sisterhood worked. And Venus had contacted me and said, hey, I have this Christian actress in the sisterhood, and she lives in the Los Angeles area, and you live in the Los Angeles area. Maybe you guys can connect. And I was like, Venus, Los Angeles is huge. Like, I'm actually kind of set apart from LA. I'm in Orange County. Like, it'd be really hard to, it's an hour and a half just to go meet for coffee, a drive, or whatever in traffic. And it's like, oh, people don't understand. And then then Casey contacts me, and turns out we are literally 10 minutes away from each other. And she went to Biola where I went. She lives the street over from where I used to live. Our kids were in the same basketball league for a bit. And it's like, Lord, you're so good. But that's how the sisterhood works. It connects women both in your neighborhood and across the nation
Yeah.
to encourage and uplift one another and create a community just to make sure that we are creating with excellence.
Oh, I love that. I love those little behind the scene things that you don't always know. So that's cool. Okay, is there anything, so being a Christian in the film industry, is there anything that you do or don't do because of your faith?
So I have the boundaries of no physical intimacy because I want to honor my husband. I have no glorifying alcohol. I won't sell alcohol or things that are addictions. No pharmaceuticals, no swearing, no coarse jesting. But also, uh, I was contacted by the Church of Scientology a few months back to do a project for them. And it paid really well. It paid
Mhm.
well. It was multiple day work. The role sounded amazing, but as I did research, I realized it was Scientology. It was contact. I did not reach out to them. They reached out to me.
Yeah.
And so it has to be a project that I believe in as well. That's
Mhm.
glorifying the Lord and not Scientology.
Yeah.
That's one of my boundaries, apparently.
Right. Thank goodness you actually did some research because I think sometimes these like things that seem like they're faith driven and faith forward, it's like, oh yeah, I'll be a part of that. But when you look into it, you're like, oh, actually, we don't believe the same, not
Yeah.
just Scientology, but there's some other ones that I've seen that I'm like, oh, that's actually not how I believe, although that sounds great.
Yeah.
But
And it was so organized how he had everything detailed and written out. And I was like, oh, this is beautiful. I mean, I did have to commend him on just his communication, and I
yeah.
really appreciated how he reached out and all the details right from the
Yeah.
start. But then it was like, so I politely declined, and then he actually wrote back again and said, okay, would you like me to keep you in mind for future projects? I have a couple in the next couple months. And I said, no, thank you, because I follow Jesus and I want him to be. So I actually contacted a friend or a colleague that used to be a Scientologist, and asked her what Bible verse she would recommend sharing that would point to Jesus. So I used it as a ministry opportunity.
Good. Oh, that's so smart. I love that you did that. And I love that you said no to a lot of money too, because it's just like so many people will let the money make the decision instead of let their convictions make the decision. So I'm so glad that you know what yours are. So you also mentioned that physical intimacy. Have there been any gigs come up or offered that you had to turn down because that was in there, or anybody that adjusted because that was your thing?
Um, I mean, I've read for some different leads that they say are would need that, so then I haven't pursued that anymore. No, the people that I've worked with have all had the same stance on that, so thankfully that wasn't an issue.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that. Okay, what is a mistake that you've learned so far that you don't want others to have to experience? Or not even a mistake, but anything like difficult or that you felt like you learned too late? What's something you don't want others to have to wait to learn?
My with my background of newscasting and TV hosting, you kind of just go in, you give your lines. It's easy, you move forward. You're not necessarily in a place where you're repeating an emotional scene over and over again. I don't think I was prepared for that in an emotional scene, like what it does to you physically in that moment. And I had to kind of wrestle with that. Like my body was in that place, and then you cut, and then you go back and you do it again. And I'm having to tell my body, you're okay. Like that's pretend. You're okay. And then you're like, okay, let's start back in that happy moment or whatever moment and then go do it again. And I think that that's me being untrained in that area of that depth of emotion that I just, and it's funny, I get emotional even talking about it because I can feel myself in that place again. But it that comes with training, and that comes with that work on camera. To me, it's not just classes, because classes I can do that. But when you're doing it on camera multiple times and all the different angles, and this needs to happen in the background and this, whatever, I don't know. That just, I wasn't prepared for that. And I don't know if that's a mistake as much as I, I wish I could be trained in that area more.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you said that because it truly is a thing. It's like, wait, we have to do that again? Can I do that again authentically? Like, and if you're with great filmmakers, they understand the place that you have to go to in your mind and physically and like tears and like they will be considerate of the fact that this is not easy for an actor to just do waterworks all the time. Some actors probably can, but they'll be considerate and make sure that everybody's quiet. Everything is going to shoot well. We're just going to do two angles on this, and so it's very helpful when you get those kind of filmmakers, but it's also very exhausting, especially when you're pouring and crying and just, all of these things. And the training, like you said, is essential for that to come through truthfully because it can be,
Yeah. 'Cause you've had so many episodes in Vindication like that where you're gut-wrenching tears. And I mean, I've been so amazed just watching your skill set of that and the emotions. And I know we've talked about it before, and you said director Jared O'Flaherty is so great at like
yeah.
letting you have that space and not doing it so many times. But
Mhm.
you've had a range of emotions for sure.
I have, and what's hilarious, and I've said this in interviews, is because it was like the first however many my character was going through all this stuff all the time, and then I was like, all right, Jared, I think next season maybe somebody else can ride the emotional roller coaster. Like it'd be cool if Chris doesn't have to. Well, then that was boring. So like after that, I was like, okay, Jared, actually, if you want to have Chris do some more stuff, that's more fun for actors because like
And then
that's what
we missed you when you weren't there. And
I
then
know. I know. So,
but how you've, I mean, you could probably teach a class just on that of how to actually let your body, come back from that and process it without carrying it with you for the rest of the day. Because yes, your mind can say, I'm fine and everything's okay, but your body is still like
yeah,
experiencing trauma.
it's so interesting how the brain works. It's a total psychology thing. Okay, so how do you fit in Bible time as you're pursuing these things? How do you spend time with Jesus? What does it look like? What are you doing?
My husband and I wake up together every morning and read the Bible together and pray together. That's been something that we've implemented into our relationship and our marriage since day one, which was tricky for me at first, getting up super early.
What time?
Well, we get up at 5:30. He gets up at 4:30. I get up at 5:30 and join then.
Yeah.
But we have to start the day, and that's been our foundation. So when I tell people when we were first married, like that was his Bible time, and I said, "Okay, God, I'll meet with you later. That's too early for me."
Yeah.
And I never drank coffee until I was married because he'd have his cup of coffee and his Bible. And I said, okay, I felt a prodding like I should join my new husband and read the Bible together. So I
Mhm.
poured that cup of coffee and enjoyed that time. And now I have to have coffee every morning. So
Yeah.
blame my
Oh,
coffee addiction on him and our
yes.
time
Me too.
together.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so we do that together. We also we co-lead a weekly Bible study. So our one just finished, and we're going to be starting Sermon of the Mount series coming up here in the fall. And so we do Bible study with some other couples, and yeah.
Oh, I love that. So in the morning when y'all are reading your Bible, you come together to read and to pray. Are y'all reading the same thing or do you read different things and talk
We
about it?
we we talk about it, but we also do the 1 year Bible is what we've gone through.
Okay.
So the 1 year Bible offers a Old Testament passage, New Testament passage, a psalm, and a proverb. So we'll, as we're both reading that, then we can talk about it. And then, or whatever, like sometimes we'll just start reading a book, or he'll be reading like a book of the Bible, and then we're sharing, or um, he teaches fourth and fifth grade at our church once a month. So sometimes it'll be about that lesson or whatever the Lord, is kind of leading us in that moment.
Oh, that's so good. I love it. Okay, we're wrapping up here. What is one of your favorite books or quotes? Or both?
I really enjoyed, I love to read. I haven't, it's a little tricky to read nowadays with my timing. But one of my favorite, there were two book series that I absolutely loved. The Mark of the Lion series by Francine Rivers.
Yeah.
It's a biblically kind of based, makes the Bible times come alive. Very dramatic. It really should be a film. I need to look into if they've optioned it or anything. It's incredible. And then the other book series I love is Gods and Kings by Lynn Austin, or
Hmm.
the Chronicles of the Kings is what it's actually called. And it's
Okay.
it's it's like a novel about King Hezekiah and Bible times, and it just makes those Bible characters come alive. So you learn about Manasseh and it just who he was, and Hezekiah, but it's in a novel form. And so it just made some of those passages that you read in the Bible and just kind of go, you know, you're picturing it, but this kind of just gives you a context for it. And I really enjoy that. So I
Yeah.
love historical fiction, or historical romance, Christian fiction, or that type
Mhm.
of thing. And favorite quote, I don't know, nothing from books. I just verses is what comes to mind when you ask that. What I quote all the time is just faithful is he who has called you and he will bring it to pass. First Thessalonians 5:24. As I just reflect on God's faithfulness over the years and guiding me and working behind the scenes, to put pieces together that I would have never thought of coming together, but how he's working it out. And he's given us each different gifts and callings.
Yeah.
And as we seek him for his leading and his direction, he will bring it to pass. He created us for a reason with a purpose. And so he will put those pieces in place so that we can walk in our calling. And so that's what I always have to quote: faithful is he who has called you, and he will bring it to pass.
Yeah. Oh, love it. Okay, so for somebody who's wanting to get into acting and they're not really sure how to get started, what advice would you give them?
Talk to the Lord
Hmm.
first and foremost. Um, Present it to him. Lord, I place this in your hands. It has to be a continual dialogue with the Lord before uh, any script I read, any audition, any submission, anything. It's Lord, I give this to you,
Mm.
and I need your wisdom and direction, because I don't trust my mind of choosing, and I really need it to be his way. I don't want to force a door open that isn't from him.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, I encourage them to pray about getting into the industry. And then what I usually tell people is just start an Actors Access account, the free account, look at what's available, see if things interest you, and um, you can do little submit yourself for different castings. And then also community, getting to know people. If you want to be part of that Christian casting group on Facebook, or this amazing sisterhood, or something like that, to help refine your craft and define it, and also to give you that community of encouragement. um, those are two areas to start. And
Hmm.
then also research what you want to be a part of and who are those people involved. And then see the steps that you can take to get into those circles.
Yeah. Good stuff. I love it. Okay, where can they follow you? Where can they find you?
So I'm on Instagram, Melissa underscore Nunnally underscore actress is my acting account. And then the new Instagram I launched is Melissa's Movie Minute. So it's just short little film facts on there. And that's the best place.
Okay.